I've read countless comic book first issues, like a lot of them, and most are like fleeting acquaintances. You nod, exchange pleasantries, and move on. But then there's Ain't No Grave. And this was a hidden gem, okay? I was hooked right off the bat like a dog on peanut butter. It captured my attention right away and refused to let go. But you guys don't know what Ain't No Grave is, so I gotta explain it to you. So, in this first issue, it begins with this woman named Ryder roaming through this desolate wasteland. Beautiful panel layouts, beautiful cinematography, beautiful artwork. Good artwork will hook a reader in the beginning. Good story will keep them there forever. Anyway, so she's going to this abandoned location, and you're wondering, is it abandoned or is it a trap? And she's wondering the same thing. And then this little girl comes out, and you're like, oh boy, here we go. Here we go. Let the chaos ensue, right? And then we're launched into a flashback. But let me reel it back a bit. So I made this thing called the Curiosity Pyramid because I think it's a good visualizer. It's world, characters, and fate. You need to explain how the world is more than just a setting. It's a character in itself. How does this issue do that right away? Well, first things first, there's a sense of danger. Instantly. Right away, the book asks you a question. Is this a trap or just an abandoned location? So right away, you're curious. Now, not every book needs to start with a question. Not every movie needs to start with a question. But I do think it is a good way to start. Next, we transition into the character, right? So the whole pyramid, once again, world, characters, fate. We transition into the characters here, right? We go into a flashback of Ryder's past because the girl triggers a flashback event, which is pretty good because you're attacking with exposition, which means the exposition needs to be there rather than you're just throwing it in to give detail. Anyway, so we explore Ryder's character. She's this loving mother, this ex-outlaw who stopped because she found a man, she found a family, and then she got this illness, right? She's getting sick. She's gonna die soon. So she leaves her family to go out into the wasteland. How do you hook the audience with your characters? Well, you give them an internal conflict and their own set of beliefs and wants. This will make the audience curious as to how they will get them. So for Ryder, she wants to cure her sickness. And you're wondering, how the hell is she going to do that? Another question. Questions create curiosity. Her internal conflict, however, is staying with her family in her final moments or risking leaving them, not getting the time that she needs, and dying out in the wasteland. That's her internal struggle, and obviously her family's grieving and they're sad that she's leaving. They're not happy with it. Her husband isn't happy with it. So she goes out in the wasteland, encounters some ghosts, ghouls, goblins, which circles back into the world, right? It creates more mystery. She encounters this vision of ghosts and shit like that. Lastly, we get into fate. Many first issues don't have this, or at least they do, and it's not as strong. This book is pretty wild. When I saw this hook, I was like, okay, I'm locked in for the rest of the series. Like, I gotta see how this turns out. And they do this by using world, characters, and fate. So she encounters this rivet-covered hunchback creature of some kind. You're like, this thing's weird looking. This creates the Iceberg Theory. Now, I'm trying not to ramble too much, but this goes into world, right? So I feel like all of you have seen the iceberg videos. You know what I'm talking about. The tip of the iceberg, when you're building lore, needs to be the richest part of the world. You need to expand each magic system, rule, law, as deep as you can. And you don't have to have a million different things. You just need to expand a few. If you can just expand a few parts of your story with way more depth rather than having a million, then you can create a much more intriguing story. So create an iceberg. At the tip is everything. Below is imagination. You got to create room for the imagination of the reader. That's where the iceberg comes in, and it saves you a lot of time because you don't have to world build every single thing in existence, right? So this book does that very well. Back to fate. The cliffhanger of this book is that she is out in this wasteland. She's here. for one purpose, and one purpose only, and that is to kill death. Bam! You need to spark the audience's imagination for what will happen in the future. Have them thinking of future events like, oh, this could happen, this could happen. That way they are constantly thinking about your story, so they return to buy the next issue or read the next issue. Let's look at a different book and explain how the Pyramid of Curiosities can work within it. So we're going to look at Batman: The Court of Owls. Let's start with world. Obviously the world is Gotham here, and we think we know every inch of Gotham. However, it is revealed that there is much more history beneath the surface with the Court of Owls and with the court in general. There's underlying politics, there's underlying locations, there's underlying history, there's all this different stuff. And that creates the Iceberg Theory. Like I said, it easily creates it because it's like, oh, well, the Court of Owls are the surface, but there could be so much more beneath that now. That just opened up so many possibilities. Next, curiosities about Batman. When it comes to Batman, you're wondering, how's he gonna get out of this situation? Will he be able to solve this crime? Batman's conflict here is starting out thinking he knows everything, and then realizing he doesn't know shit and now having to face those fears. And in terms of fate, the seeds of the court's mystery are planted right off the bat as soon as the first issue is concluded. As for my own comic book grandpa, name might be final, might not, we'll see. I create intrigue with the world, and I have this magical substance called magic. Very simple, very easy to understand. And it amplifies the powers of the gods, right? So you have like the Greek gods in this universe, and they're using magic as a drug to enhance their power. That creates an interesting iceberg where you're wondering what they could do with this substance. What are the possibilities of this? And what other gods are in this universe, right? As for characters, we have my main character, Divinius Spade. He's an ex-thief coming out of retirement. His internal conflict is semi-similar to Ryder's, a bit different though, where he's essentially under the boot of the gods. His family is making it by, they have a successful cafe, but everyone in this world is struggling under the gods' rule. They are not good rulers. They only really focus on themselves, improving their own lives. And Divinius desires the life of the gods for himself. His internal conflict is living in comfort. He can just make it by, not taking any action, and live a comfortable life with his family. On the other side, he can steal from the gods. And then in terms of fate, you're essentially wondering what Divinius will do with this new knowledge that he has of magic. You can see how the Pyramid of Curiosity applies to this. If you want to check out my comic book, I think you guys will love it. Click the link down below. You'll get more insights there. Ain't No Grave does the same thing here. Its world is a giant iceberg with just a tad bit on the surface. You're curious about the wasteland, and you're also curious about the supernatural elements. You also have questions about Ryder. You do know about her past, but you're wondering what her family will think about her when she comes back, if she does make it out of here. Last is fate, and that's probably the strongest hook in this first issue, and that is, how will she kill death? That's all you need to know. That's a pretty banger cliffhanger. So anytime you're making a book, make sure to focus on world, characters, and fate. Keep them curious. Comment down below if you have any first issues that hooked you right away, that started your love for a series. Keep reading and writing. I'll see you guys.